I walked into a Tesco in London with a pounding headache and walked out with a massive reality check. I handed the cashier a box of ibuprofen and waited for him to ask for $8 or $9. He asked for 35 pence. That is about 40 cents in American money. I actually asked him if he scanned it wrong because I was literally shocked. He looked at me like I was crazy, but that 40-cent box of medicine sent me down a massive rabbit hole. I have lived in the UK for almost 2 years now, and I am completely baffled because it is not just medicine. There is an entire list of everyday supermarket items that we are being absolutely robbed for. Back in the States, we have been conditioned to think that high quality means high prices. The British supermarket system proves that is a complete lie. We need to talk about this. The first item on this list is exactly what started this whole journey for me. Basic over-the-counter medication. In the US, you go to a CVS or a Walgreens and you expect to pay anywhere from $8 to $15 for a bottle of Advil or Tylenol. We pay for the shiny branding, the massive marketing campaigns, and the illusion that the brand name chemical works better than the generic chemical. In the UK, the culture around basic painkillers is entirely different. You can walk into any Sainsbury's or Asda and buy a pack of paracetamol or ibuprofen for less than 50 pence. The structural reason for this is fascinating. The UK has strict regulations on how medications can be priced and advertised because they have the National Health Service. The overall cultural approach to healthcare is that basic relief should be accessible, not a luxury commodity. The supermarkets use these items as loss leaders. They know you need them, so they price them at rock bottom to get you in the door. Americans are literally paying 1,000% markup just to see a familiar logo on a plastic bottle. However, the medicine aisle was just my first warning. The real culture shock happened in the dairy section. Item number 2 is butter, but not just any butter. Real high-quality European-style grass-fed butter. In America, if you want good butter, you buy Kerrygold, and you treat it like gold. I remember seeing Kerrygold locked inside plastic anti-theft boxes at my local American grocery store, priced at $7 or $8 a block. We treat European butter like a premium luxury item that you only buy for special occasions or holiday baking. Over here in the UK, that exact same quality of butter is just the baseline standard. You can buy a block of British or Irish butter that rivals anything in a high-end American deli for about £2. The psychological difference is wild. Americans have been sold this idea that standard butter has to be pale, flavorless, and mass-produced by massive industrial dairy conglomerates. We are told that cows eating corn is normal. In the UK, the climate naturally supports grass-fed dairy farming year-round. High-quality dairy is not a luxury import. It is just what grows in the backyard. You are not paying for a premium lifestyle brand. You are just paying for milk and salt. And that brings me directly to item number 3, cheese. If you are a cheese lover in the United States, you know the pain of the specialty cheese section. You want a decent wedge of mature cheddar or a nice wheel of brie, you are looking at $10 to $15 easily. We treat good cheese like an artisanal artifact. In the UK, cheese is practically a human right. A massive block of extra mature cheddar, the kind that has those little crunchy salt crystals in it, and actually tastes like something, costs about £2.50. I was standing in a Waitrose, which is supposed to be one of the more expensive supermarkets here, just staring at the prices. You can get incredible Stilton, Red Leicester, and Wensleydale for pocket change. Why do Americans overpay so badly for this? Part of it is the import tariffs we slap on European dairy to protect the American dairy industry. But the bigger reason is the UK supermarket price wars. Aldi and Lidl expanded aggressively across Britain over the last decade. They forced the legacy supermarkets like Tesco and Sainsbury's to slash their prices on absolute staples. Cheese is a staple in the British diet. If a supermarket overprices their cheddar, the British public will riot and go across the street. Americans do not have that same competitive downward pressure on quality items, so we just accept being overcharged. Also, this is exactly the kind of thing I go much deeper on with the people who support this channel directly. So if you are sitting there thinking, okay, I need the fuller version of this story, join the membership below. That is where I share the deeper thoughts, the more personal side of all this, and the extra bits I cannot always fit into the main videos. Let us move on to item number 4, because this one actually makes me angry. Chocolate! I grew up eating Hershey bars and Reese's cups. I thought that was just what chocolate tasted like. Then I moved to London and bought a standard Cadbury Dairy Milk bar for £1. The difference in quality is staggering. American chocolate is legally allowed to contain far less actual cocoa and far more sugar and vegetable oil than British chocolate. The US standard for what can legally be called milk chocolate was heavily influenced by industrial lobbying decades ago. They optimized for shelf life and heat resistance, not flavor. So what happens in the US? If you want chocolate that actually tastes like cocoa instead of waxy sugar, you have to go to the premium aisle and buy Linton or imported European brands for $5 or $6 a bar. Americans are paying luxury prices to escape the terrible baseline quality of their own domestic candy. In the UK, the baseline quality is already premium by American standards. You can buy a massive bar of incredibly rich, smooth chocolate for a fraction of what Americans pay for the good stuff. Item number 5 is bread. And I do not mean the stuff that comes in a plastic bag and lasts for 3 weeks on your counter. I mean fresh bakery bread. In the US, if you want a crusty sourdough loaf or a fresh baguette that was baked that morning, you usually have to go to a specialized artisan bakery or an upscale store like Whole Foods. You will easily drop $6 to $8 on one loaf. It has become a status symbol. In the UK, almost every major supermarket has a working bakery section in the store. You can walk in and grab a freshly baked sourdough loaf, still warm, for maybe £1 or £1.50. The cultural expectation here is that bread should be fresh, affordable, and have about 4 ingredients. American supermarket bread is packed with high fructose corn syrup and preservatives to survive massive cross-country supply chains. Because America is so physically huge, industrial food has to last longer on trucks. The UK is smaller, which means regional distribution is tighter, and supermarkets can afford to bake fresh items daily without charging artisan prices. Americans are overpaying for fresh bread simply because fresh food has become a niche market rather than the standard. Item number 6 completely surprised me: jam and preserves. If you look in an American fridge, you usually find standard jelly packed with artificial flavors and corn syrup. If you want the good stuff like Bon Maman or a high fruit preserve, you pay $5 to $7 a jar. We view European jams as fancy breakfast items. In the UK, jam is serious business. It is a fundamental part of the culture. Scones and jam are practically a national religion. Because the demand is so high and the expectation of quality is so ingrained, you can buy incredible high fruit preserves for less than £2. Even the supermarket own brand jams are better than the premium brands in America. Americans overpay because we treat fruit preserves as an imported luxury, while the British treat it as a Tuesday morning necessity. If you are enjoying this breakdown and want me to expose more of these crazy transatlantic differences, hype up this video in the comments and hit that like button. It really shows your support and helps me keep making these deep dives for you. Item number 7 on the list of things Americans are overpaying for is fresh berries. I used to budget carefully for strawberries and raspberries back home. A tiny plastic clamshell of raspberries at an American grocery store can easily set you back $6, and half the time they get moldy the next day. I assumed berries were just expensive everywhere because they are fragile and hard to transport. Then I went grocery shopping in the UK during the summer. A punnet of massive sweet strawberries costs about £2. Raspberries and blueberries are equally cheap. This all comes back to the fierce supply chain efficiency of British supermarkets. The UK imports a lot of fruit from Spain and Morocco, but they also have massive domestic soft fruit farms. The supermarkets lock these farmers into incredibly tight contracts. While that is tough on the farmers, the result for the consumer is high-quality fresh produce at prices that make American grocery bills look like extortion. Americans are subsidizing massive transportation costs and high levels of food waste within the store, which drives the price of fresh produce through the roof. Quick thing before we get to the worst 2 on this list, the data on this channel shows that over 80% of you watching right now are not subscribed. That means you are showing up for the content, but the algorithm has no reason to show you the next video. Hit subscribe so you do not miss the next one. Item number 8 is breakfast cereal, specifically granola and muesli. In the US, the cereal aisle is divided into 2 distinct zones. You have the sugary, neon-colored boxes for $3 or $4. Then you have the health food section. If you want a bag of granola that is not composed entirely of sugar, you are buying a trendy lifestyle brand for $8 or $9 a bag. Wellness has been aggressively monetized in America. Eating healthy is framed as a luxury choice. In the UK, muesli and low-sugar granola are just considered normal breakfast food. You can buy a massive bag of high-quality nut and seed heavy granola for under £2. The British government has been cracking down heavily on sugar content in foods. They introduced a sugar tax that completely shifted how food manufacturers formulate their products. Because the baseline of food is healthier, you do not have to pay a massive premium just to eat something that will not spike your blood sugar. Americans are paying a wellness tax. Brits are just eating breakfast. Item number 9 is a deeply cultural one: biscuits. And by biscuits, I mean cookies. If you go to the international aisle in an American supermarket to buy a pack of McVitie's, digestives, or hobnobs, you will pay $4 or $5 for a single sleeve. You buy them because you want a taste of British culture, or you saw them on a television show. In the UK, biscuits are the fuel that keeps the entire country running. A pack of digestives costs about 80p. The variety and quality of biscuits available in a standard UK supermarket is overwhelming. Chocolate bourbons, custard creams, Jaffa cakes. They are all incredibly cheap because they are bought in massive daily volumes. Americans overpay for these items because we classify them as novelty imports. But the tragedy is that even American domestic cookies, like a standard pack of Oreos or Chips Ahoy, often cost more than premium British biscuits. We are paying $5 for cookies made with highly processed oils, while Brits are paying pennies for biscuits made with better ingredients. And finally, item number 10. This one feels a bit ironic given American history. We threw it in the harbor, and now we are paying a massive premium for the privilege of drinking it. In the US, tea is often viewed through the lens of specialty wellness. You go to the store and buy a box of 20 artisan tea bags for $7. Lipton is cheap, but the quality is terrible. In the UK, tea is the default state of existence. You do not buy tea in boxes of 20. You buy it in massive sacks of 100 or 200 bags. A huge box of PG Tips, Yorkshire tea, or Tetley costs around £3. The quality of a standard British tea bag completely destroys the expensive specialty teas in America. The tea leaves are sourced better, the blends are stronger, and the turnover is so fast that it is always fresh. Americans overpay for tea because it is treated as a calming, niche wellness product. The British treat it like water. It flows through the pipes of the nation. The deeper I look into these 10 items, the more I realize that the American supermarket system is built on a very specific psychological trick. We are taught that convenience and mass production are cheap, and that quality, health, and fresh ingredients are luxury upgrades. If you want real cheese, real bread, real butter, or real medicine without a markup, you have to pay the premium. Living in the UK has completely shattered that illusion for me. The baseline standard of food quality here is just higher. They do not accept bread that lasts a month. They do not accept chocolate that tastes like wax. And because the consumers expect better, the supermarkets have to compete fiercely to provide it at a price people can actually afford. It makes me wonder how much money the average American family would save if they could just shop with a British baseline of quality. You would not just be saving money on your grocery bill. You would probably be saving money on your medical bills down the line too.